After 200 guests ignored him, one janitor's simple question revealed a life-changing connection. Luis wiped the perspiration from his brow as he surveyed the empty banquet hall, a graveyard of discarded elegance. Once bustling with laughter and clinking glasses, it now lay silent and still, the remnants of a lavish gala scattered across polished marble. While 200 guests had celebrated, drunk their fill of champagne, and danced beneath twinkling chandeliers, Luis felt more invisible than ever. For 2 decades, he had maintained the pristine image of this prestigious suburban high school while yearning for connection in a world that seemed to forget him as soon as the lights dimmed. As he picked up the remnants, half-eaten hors d'oeuvres, crumpled napkins, and champagne flutes, he felt the weight of his modest life settle heavily on his chest. Each plate felt like a reminder of the social divide that separated him from the glittering society outside the kitchen door. Lonely, he wondered about the dreams, fears, and sacrifices of the affluent individuals whose laughter echoed in his mind, even as they passed him by. A flicker of impulsive courage ignited within him. What if he dared to reach through the invisible barrier? Gathering his resolve, he walked toward a small circle of guests who had finally turned their attention to him. The familiar feeling of hesitance clawed at his throat, but before doubt could take root, he asked, "What's your biggest dream?" The question hung in the air like a subtle invitation. The guests, the entrepreneur, the socialite, the stay-at-home mom, the exact same people who had overlooked him moments ago suddenly appeared vulnerable, as if a shield had dropped. The father in the group, previously so polished and composed, looked away and said, I wish I'd been there more for my kids. I sacrificed so much to give them everything, but I think I lost them in the process. I dreamed that they'd notice me again." Tears glistened in his eyes, and a hush wrapped the group. Luis felt a surge of empathy, knowing that behind the wealth were human stories, yearning for understanding. One by one, others began to speak. The esteemed entrepreneur, his success building an empire, confessed to a deep-rooted fear of failure. "I keep a facade," he said, voice trembling. "But I want to start a non-profit to help kids like I once was, forgotten but full of potential." The warmth of shared humanity filled the room, transforming the sterile atmosphere into an incredibly intimate space. A woman, her voice barely a whisper, shared her relinquished dream of painting, a passion diluted by expectations. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. As Luis witnessed the transformation, he could hardly believe it. Each encounter revealed layers of struggle beneath the polished exterior, a raw honesty that linked them together, despite the economic chasm. Dreams traumatic and beautiful spilled forth like a waterfall, and the late night felt like a therapy session, pulling them out of the shadows and into the light. Yet, in his heart, an unanswered question gnawed at him. Would revealing his own dreams shatter the connection that had so miraculously formed? As they met his gaze, where vulnerability and uncertainty danced, Luis's chest tightened. Maybe tonight was the moment where invisible could meet visible, and dreams could bridge divides. How could he articulate his longing in the midst of their revelations? The night held its breath, waiting for his words. Luis could feel the weight of their gazes, each pair reflecting an unexpected sense of warmth and kinship. He wiped his hands on his uniform, his heart thrumming like a drum in his chest. It was both thrilling and terrifying to stand there teetering on the edge of vulnerability. For once, he didn't feel like the janitor. In this moment, he felt like a man with a story worth telling. His voice faltered, then steadied. "I guess I haven't really thought about what I want. I'm always too busy trying to keep everything clean." Nervous laughter rippled through the group, but it grounded him. "But if I could dream," he continued, swallowing the lump in his throat, "I'd love to teach." "Teach?" the socialite murmured. She seemed genuinely intrigued. "Yeah, work with kids. I love seeing that moment when they finally get something, when their faces light up like they've solved a puzzle." The clarity of his passion caught him off guard. With each word, he felt a warmth spreading in the pit of his stomach as if the dream itself were a living entity, gaining strength. I want to help them see that their possibilities don't end with where they come from. I want them to know they can paint their own futures. Tears filled the mother's eyes. You're a janitor, but you dream like a teacher. That's incredible. The acknowledgement wrapped around him like a hug. He could feel the tentacles of doubt slipping away, replaced by a fragile sense of hope. The barriers that once separated them were weakening, and he wasn't alone anymore. This circle of honesty was not merely about wealth or status, it was about dreams that had been tucked away and hidden under layers of expectation. What's stopping you? Questioned the entrepreneur, tapping into a deeper vein of the conversation. You should pursue it if it means that much to you. Luis winced slightly as practicality crashed into his thoughts. I don't have the money for training or classes. I have a job to do. I have bills to pay. Find a way, he replied, fiery conviction in his voice. It's never too late to go after what you want. When I started my company, no one believed in me. I invested everything I had because I was determined to build a platform for those who felt forgotten. You already have that vision. Trust me, it can happen. Something sparked within Luis. He looked around at each face once strangers, now allies in raw vulnerability, and realized he didn't want to stay trapped in fear any longer. Perhaps it was time to push aside the narratives that kept him small. Maybe I can try, he whispered, more to himself than to everyone else. Why not start a tutoring program? The entrepreneur suggested. Your experience could inspire others to do the same. What if you took it online and made it accessible for kids who can't get that help otherwise? Luis could now feel the warm swell of excitement rising to meet them, the possibility igniting the passion buried deep within him. I could start with small groups. Maybe even an online class. The room filled with a buzz of encouragement, powerful voices lifting him higher. They cheered him on, each word fueling an unexpected flame of ambition. His heart raced harder at their belief in him. As the night wore on, stories and laughter continued to flow. Luis marveled at how a simple question had unlocked so much. But even amid the warmth and connection, a flicker of anxiety flickered in the back of his mind. What if he failed? That question lingered as they shared their plans and dreams long into the night, but a sense of determination began to settle as well. Luis could almost taste the possibilities unfurling before him, a path laid out that was ripe with hope, but as the gathering began to wind down and goodbyes were exchanged, Luis felt a shiver of uncertainty creep back in. He understood the weight of taking that first step. Would he really follow through? The thought coursed through him, electrifying yet haunting. As he gathered his things and prepared to leave, he could hardly shake off the feeling that this was only the beginning. How far was he willing to go to turn those dreams into reality? With lingering hesitation, Luis stepped into the night, his heart pounding against the silence of the suburban streets, a cacophony of dreams clashing with worries swirling in his mind. What awaited him tomorrow? Would he find the courage to truly strive for what he desired? The questions echoed, leaving him breathless as he dared to contemplate the possibilities. The cool night air embraced Luis as he walked home, the shadows around him feeling less oppressive with every step. The glow of streetlights painted a soft halo around his thoughts, illuminating the dreams that had taken root in his heart. There was a hum of excitement buried beneath the weight of uncertainty. Could he really do it? As he turned onto his street, a mix of doubt and anticipation tugged at his mind. He had only ever seen teaching as a distant star, flickering in the sky of his dreams. Now, that star felt closer, like he might even reach it if he stretched far enough. The idea of tutoring, of creating perhaps an online platform for kids like those in his old neighborhood, danced in his imagination, but each time he pushed that vision forward, the voice of practicality echoed louder, drowning out the hopes. What if it failed? What if no one wanted to learn from a janitor? The heaviness in his chest reminded him of the years spent working to pay bills, of never having had the time to dream. Luis quickened his pace, his breath forming clouds in the chill, trying to banish the doubts. He visualized himself sitting in front of a webcam, explaining math concepts to eager faces. He could see himself laughing with them, encouraging them as they soared through the subjects that had once seemed impenetrable, finally reaching his tiny apartment, he dropped his keys onto the counter with a little more force than necessary, letting out a sigh that seemed to carry his lingering anxiety. As he removed his shoes, he glanced around at the room filled with remnants of his daily life. The modest kitchen was cluttered but inviting, filled with the aroma of the leftovers he had made for dinner yesterday. He could have tossed everything aside and flopped down onto his tired bed, but tonight felt different. With purpose, he walked over to his old laptop, its screen casting an unassuming glow. He hesitated before turning it on. The idea of opening a tutoring program felt monumental, almost impossible. But every great journey began with a single step, he realized. As he waited for the computer to boot up, he thought about the conversations from the evening, the passion and encouragement he had received. These pillars of support were a safety net, lifting him when doubt threatened to take hold. He glanced at the social media accounts of the entrepreneurs and the lady who had shaken his resolve with a simple acknowledgement. They believed in him. Memories of the kids he used to see running through the schoolyard, some of them fading into home situations that didn't support their education, flooded back. He wanted to help them, give them the same chance to dream. With a swift movement, he opened his browser and searched how to start an online tutoring program. A rush of adrenaline surged through him. His heart raced as he read articles, watched videos, and began to outline a plan. Luis scribbled down ideas, what subjects he could cover, the age range he would focus on, how he might utilize technology to connect with the children. Each letter typed on the keyboard felt like a step forward, solidifying his resolve in uncharted territory. Suddenly, a ping from his phone broke his concentration. It was a message from the socialite, her words brightening the dim room. Luis, I'm so inspired by your passion. If you need help setting up your tutoring platform, let me know. I have some experience in tech and can help you. Tears of disbelief pricked at his eyes. There, right at that moment, unexpected help was reaching out to him. The momentum surged back, igniting deeper resolve. He wasn't just a janitor anymore, he was becoming a leader, a guide. With hope swirling within him, Luis set to work. He was determined to seize this opportunity. As he focused on building his dream, he felt lighter, as if he were finally coming into his own, but as he dove deeper into preparations, remnants of doubt danced at the edges of his mind. Just how ready was he for this leap? Would he be able to balance everything, his job, his bills, and this new venture? The realization struck him it was time not only to dream but to act. There would be more challenges ahead. As he crafted his first tutoring session outline, he knew he stood on the precipice of something incredible. With resolve building, he looked at the bright screen full of possibilities, ready to take the leap. The question now lingered, would he find the courage to make it real? The next morning, sunlight streamed through the thin curtains of Luis's apartment, warming the chilled spaces and casting gentle shadows across the walls. He woke with purpose, the remnants of last night's inspiration rekindling his spirit. He rubbed the sleep from his eyes and glanced at the laptop that had transformed from a mere screen into a gateway filled with potential. Fueled by resolve, he made himself a simple breakfast toast and a quick cup of coffee. Each bite felt like a step towards something new, a taste of what determination could bring. After cleaning the few dishes in the sink, he sat back down, facing the glowing screen. The first task loomed large, turning his ideas into a cohesive tutoring plan. He was tapping at the keyboard, the rhythm of his fingers quick and eager, when a sudden rush of anxiety hit him. What if he set things in motion only to flop? He took a deep breath, allowing the hope he had cultivated to cushion his fears. His phone buzzed again, and it was a quick reply from the socialite. Let's chat later this week. I can help you design the website and brainstorm content. A smile tugged at the corners of his mouth. With each message, the dream felt increasingly tangible. Luis poured himself into the planning. He mapped out the subjects he would teach: math, science, and reading. The age range slowly took shape. He imagined kids like the ones he had dreamed about, gathering virtually, shy but curious. He pictured them opening up, laughing at his jokes, engaging with the lessons. The thought filled him with warmth. His dream had transformed into a mission of building knowledge and unlocking potential. The hours ticked by as the sun arced across the sky. He lost track of time, energized by a vision that had long felt dormant. But then came the next obstacle: how to actually reach those children. Moments of clarity faded as he contemplated how to market himself. After some time, he leaned back in his chair, his mind racing. Was there a way to bring kids to him? What if he could partner with local schools, community centers, or libraries? The thought ignited a flicker of excitement. It was a spark that could light a path forward. Luis pulled out a sheet of paper and scribbled down potential schools in his neighborhood. He began crafting emails that would introduce himself, present his ideas, and offer free trial sessions. Every part of him was alive with a daring hope. Yet, a nagging doubt still brushed against his resolve. What if they ignored him? What if he sent out email after email and heard nothing back? Shaking the thoughts off, he decided to push forward. He would put himself out there. He had always been the quiet janitor, the one who cleaned up after others. But now, he was determined to take the stage as an educator, ready to fight for the kids who needed help the most. As the day turned into evening, Luis tapped send on his first email. His heart raced. He made a wish in that moment, hopeful, even if it felt reckless. The future was uncertain, but he was ready to face whatever came next, the fire of his ambition lighting the way. As he turned to his window, watching the world outside settle into night, a strange mixture of dread and excitement coursed through him. Would this be the moment he stepped from the shadows? But the night had other plans. A vivid thought struck him: those kids in his old neighborhood, those faces he remembered all too well. He felt an urgency swelling in his chest, urging him to connect with them directly. Would they even remember him? Stepping back from the window, he knew what he had to do next. He picked up his phone again, determination etched across his brow. It was time to revisit his past. Luis paced around his small apartment, the weight of memories hitting him like an unexpected wave. The faces of the children he used to see in his old neighborhood swam in his mind, each smile, each question, each moment of laughter mingled with the harsh sound of dismissive laughter from adults who didn't see the light in those kids. Would they really remember him? He paused, phone in hand, his thumb hovering over the contacts. The names flooded back to him, children he knew by heart, their fears and laughter as familiar as his own. They weren't just kids to him, they were dreams waiting to take flight. As he hesitated, a thought stirred within him: what if he could reach them? What if he could connect and be that spark they needed? This urge transformed into determination, and he began typing a message. Simple, direct: hey. It's Luis. I used to clean at the old school. How have you been? Once he hit send, a flood of memories washed over him. He thought of Antonio, a boy with a knack for math, who had always stood out among his peers. And Amelia, who could recite stories as if they flowed from her very soul. He remembered their laughter echoing in the hallways, mixed with the shouts of other kids. They deserved more than what society offered them. Luis chased the fleeting memories and pressed onward. What would he say if he saw them again? If they remembered him, would they laugh? Would they scorn him for trying to reconnect? His heart fluttered at the thought of their reactions. This is crazy, he muttered to himself, half laughing at the mix of excitement and anxiety. Yet deep down, a spark of hope flickered. Maybe this wasn't just a message, maybe this was his chance. As the hours turned into an evening echoing with crickets outside his window, alerts began to ding on his phone. Responses. One by one, familiar names began to light up the screen. Luis? Wow, it's been ages. Was the first. It sent a jolt of exhilaration straight to his belly. The next was from Amelia: I remember you. What's up? Each reply fueled his courage. Luis decided to meet them this time not as a janitor but as a mentor, a friend. He'd organize a gathering at the local park, like the ones they used to have where they shared stories and dreams, only now he would help them turn those dreams into plans. Let us meet this Saturday, he typed briskly. I want to share something special with you all. The responses came back full of warmth. Enthusiasm crackled against the backdrop of the night. Amelia suggested they bring food, and Antonio offered to spread the word among other friends from their old school. Louis's heart swelled. This was more than just a reunion, it was a second chance. He would step out of the shadows and illuminate their paths, just like he always imagined. An idea blossomed in his mind, a way to turn this gathering into something bigger, something that could actually help every child in their neighborhood who felt invisible. As Friday approached, he couldn't contain his excitement. Each moment, every heartbeat, filled with anticipation for what lay ahead. Yet a lingering doubt crept in. What if his efforts fell flat? What if they didn't show up? But deep down, he knew this was beyond him now. It was about the kids, their futures. Louis took a deep breath and smiled. He was ready to finally make a difference. The sun rose on Saturday, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, promising a day full of possibilities. Louis stood at the park, nerves buzzing like electricity. He arranged an area with blankets and snacks, his heart pounding like a drum, wondering how many kids would come. And just then, he spotted familiar faces approaching, laughter mingling with their footsteps, turning nervously inquisitive glances into wide smiles. But what would he say when the moment arrived? Louis's heart raced as he watched the group grow closer, their laughter weaving through the soft morning air. Each face that came into view brought a rush of memories, mingling excitement with anxiety. His palms felt clammy, but he fought to keep a smile on his face. Antonio was the first to reach him, grinning from ear to ear. "Louis. I can't believe you're here." The young man's arms opened wide, and Louis stepped in for a quick embrace. It felt good, grounding, like coming home. Emilia joined soon after, arms laden with a colorful picnic basket. "I brought sandwiches. And snacks." Her enthusiasm was infectious, and just like that, Louis felt the nerves begin to ease. They all settled onto the grass, surrounded by vibrant blooming flowers. Laughter filled the air as stories started flowing back and forth, their past becoming a bridge to their present. Louis listened intently, his heart swelling with pride. They were no longer the kids he once knew, they had grown into resilient young adults, each carving their own path in the world. "What have you been up to?" Emilia asked, her curiosity brightening her eyes. Louis chuckled, scratching the back of his head. "Well, I've been cleaning and working odd jobs. But I wanted to reconnect. I saw potential in all of you, and I figured maybe, just maybe, we could help each other see what's next." Antonio's brow knitted in thought. "You always believed in us. It means a lot that you reached out." Louis took a deep breath, sensing the weight of the moment. He leaned forward, ready to share his vision. "I want to help you guys turn your dreams into plans. Organize workshops, mentorships, resources that can help you all thrive." Emilia's eyes sparked with inspiration. "We could help younger kids. Maybe a mentoring program?" "Yes." Louis responded, the passion igniting in his chest. "That's exactly it. Together, we could really make a difference." As the conversation flowed, more and more ideas bubbled to life. They laughed, debated, bounced ideas off one another. Heartfelt moments filled the air, as they rediscovered the hopes and dreams that had once brought them together. But with every smile, Louis felt a flicker of doubt persist. Would this actually work? Could mere words lead to real change? He looked at each of them, reflecting on their determination. It propelled him to speak again. "Guys, I know this isn't easy, but I need your help. I want to make this happen for us, and for kids like we used to be. Will you help me?" A moment of silence enveloped them. Then Antonio nodded slowly, a determined glint in his eye. "Yeah, man. We're in this together. Just like old times." Louis felt a wave of relief wash over him. The fear that had been gnawing at him faded, replaced by a warmth of community. The sun began lowering in the sky, casting a golden hue over their circle of laughter and new dreams. But as they shared laughs, a shadow of doubt was creeping back. What would they say when others found out? What if they failed? That's when they noticed a tall figure approaching the principal from their old school, a stern look etched across his face. Instant tension filled the air. Why was he here? Louis's heart sank. Would his old fears resurface? Would they be dismissed again? Luis's hand trembled slightly. But he wouldn't turn away now. He had come too far. As the man stopped before them, Luis took a deep breath. "Hello, Mr. Sanchez," he said, his voice steady but uncertain. The responses of his old friends fell silent as they all turned to face this unexpected confrontation. What would happen next? Would this be a moment of opportunity or a step back into shadows? Mr. Sanchez's stern expression seemed to pierce through the warmth of the gathering like a chill breeze. Luis felt the apprehension settle in like an unwelcome guest. The laughter faded, replaced by anxious whispers among his friends. "Luis," the principal began, his voice deep and unyielding, "I didn't expect to find you here reunited with these students." The weight of the word lingered heavily, as if he was judging their worth with each syllable. Luis held his ground, even as doubt threatened to claw at his resolve. "I came back to talk about creating opportunities for young people, Mr. Sanchez. We want to give back." Antonio stepped up, defiance brightening his eyes. "We're trying to make a difference. You always taught us that potential needs nurturing." The principal's gaze shifted slightly, a hint of curiosity emerging. Nurturing? These days, many kids lose interest in what truly matters. Are you suggesting that you're going to solve all their problems with dreams? Luis opened his mouth to answer but found his voice faltering under the weight of expectation. What if he had miscalculated? What was the principal waiting for? "Dreams can turn into something real if we work together," Amelia interjected boldly, her passion shining through. "The world isn't going to change unless we start doing something about it. We can inspire the same hope you gave us." Mr. Sanchez's brow furrowed, but Luis saw a flicker of something behind those granite features. He was being challenged, and perhaps, for the first time, he was listening. "The school does have resources we could tap into," Mr. Sanchez replied slowly, as if considering the path ahead. "But it requires commitment. Are you all prepared for that?" Antonio nodded firmly. "We've already made the first step showing up here today. We're all in." Luis felt a surge of support radiate from his friends. This was a fragile moment, one that could either break or build a bridge. Mr. Sanchez's demeanor softened slightly, and Luis realized he had a choice. He could retreat back into the shadows or step into the light and connect. "Then let us talk," Luis said, resolve firming his voice. "Let us chart out how we can help students like we once were. I believe in them, and I know you do, too." A silence wrapped around them, thick with anticipation. Mr. Sanchez seemed to weigh their intentions. Slowly, a reluctant smile crept onto his face. "Very well," he said, and it felt like the first crack in the ice. "Let us set up a meeting to explore your ideas." Luis felt the warmth wash over him again, relief mingling with hope. They had faced the sternest of obstacles together and barely stood tall on the other side. As they began to discuss the possible next steps, laughter slowly returned, weaving between the already burgeoning plans. It felt electric. In that moment, bonds tightened, and dreams unfurled, but was this the end, or merely the beginning? Would Mr. Sanchez support them as allies in this fight for change? The sun dipped lower, casting long shadows that seemed to hint at challenges ahead. Luis glanced at his friends, ready to face whatever came next, but doubt still lingered. What if the community wouldn't embrace their vision? The joy in the air contrasted with the worries lurking in Luis's mind. He tightened his grip on the moment, determined not to let it slip away. There was always a chance in the unknown. "Hey, what if we each took a different part of this project?" Amelia suggested, excitement bubbling in her voice. It was a clever idea, but what if not everyone wanted to work as partners? The conversation flowed, but the question hung heavy above his heart: would everyone be ready to commit in the end? As their voices melded into laughter again, the fading light danced around them, whispering a secret promise. They were just getting started. But the lingering doubts clawed back into his mind. Who else would join them in the darkness? And what would it take to keep the flame alive? Luis woke up the next morning, the sun streaming through his window, illuminating the remnants of last night's hope. Despite the warmth of the dawn, a knot of anxiety twisted in his stomach. Today was the day they were supposed to meet with Mr. Sanchez to discuss their plans. Would he still believe in them when they laid out their vision? He pulled on his worn sneakers and stepped outside. The quiet of the neighborhood wrapped around him like a comforting blanket, but as he walked, doubt crept in like shadows looming over sunshine. What if they were too ambitious? What if the world really wouldn't change? By the time he reached the meeting place, his friends were already gathered, energy fizzing in the air. Emilia was animatedly sketching ideas on a napkin, while Antonio chatted with a couple of students they had invited for input. But as he joined them, Luis felt the weight of uncertainty settle back in. Hey, Luis. You think Mr. Sanchez is gonna really listen to us? Antonio asked, glancing up from his conversation. He has to, Luis replied, forcing a smile. We're here to make a difference. When Mr. Sanchez walked in, Luis's heart raced. The principal's expression remained guarded, but this time, there was a flicker of something hopeful. After a quick greeting, they all settled around a table, the energy shifting as they prepared to lay out their ideas. Luis took the lead, presenting their vision of a mentorship program. We believe that every student deserves a chance to succeed. If we can pair them with role models from the community, it could change everything. As he spoke, he noticed Mr. Sanchez's brow furrowed in concentration. It was a small sign, but it filled Luis with courage. Emilia chimed in, sharing stories of their own struggles and triumphs. We've been where they are. We know what it feels like to feel lost. But with guidance, we can build something meaningful. Antonio took hold of the conversation, detailing how they would utilize existing school resources, strengthening their case. Slowly, the initial skepticism in the principal's eyes began to ease, replaced with curiosity. What you're proposing is ambitious, Mr. Sanchez finally said, rubbing his chin thoughtfully. But what makes you think students will engage? We're not going to force anything, Luis replied, his heart racing. We know how it feels to not care. But if we show them what's possible, if we make it relatable, he trailed off, feeling the weight of every word. They'll come around. The silence hung heavy, but this time, it felt charged with potential. Luis glanced around the table, searching the faces of his friends. They were with him, all in this together. Mr. Sanchez leant back in his chair, his serious demeanor thawing into something warmer. Let us perform a pilot test. You've got me interested. But I need more than ideas. I need results. A rush of relief washed over Luis. This was the opening they had fought for, and now it was within their grasp. Days passed, filled with brainstorming sessions and planning. They divided tasks, assigned roles, and met with students who could benefit from their vision. As a foundation took shape, the energy among them surged. Every interaction felt electric, and with each passing day, they grew closer. But one afternoon, when they visited the high school to discuss their plans with potential ments, they were met with indifference. The students seemed uninterested, scrolling through their phones, laughing, and occasionally casting glances at Luis and his friends like they were outsiders. That's it? Antonio said, frustration creeping into his voice as they left the classroom. They just don't care? Luis felt his heart sink. Maybe it's not about them not caring, he said, but about how we're reaching out. They don't know us. The problem is bigger than we thought, Emilia added, her eyes serious. We need to find a way to connect with them. Luis clenched his fists, frustration boiling beneath the surface. What will it take to break through? As they stood outside the school, watching students file past, Luis was left wondering what it would take to spark that shared fire of passion. Was it the fire of ambition? Or something more personal, deeper than dreams? As they walked away, he couldn't shake the feeling they were only scratching the surface. What lay beneath that indifference could be a life-changing connection, but how would they find it when they felt so far away from it? Days turned into weeks as Luis and his friends hustled to create something meaningful. Yet, despite their effort, they still felt the cold barrier between them and potential ments. It was swirling in the air, thickening with every indifferent glance they received. Maybe we need to think outside the box, Emilia suggested one afternoon while they sat in their go-to coffee shop, the sound of grinding beans swirling around them. What if we meet them where they're at? What do you mean? Antonio asked, unconvinced. Let us go to the places they hang out. We need to connect, not just present at school. We need to show them we're real. Luis felt the idea stirring something inside him. Like at the skate park, or the arcade. We could run something informal, have fun. It's more personal. Antonio perked up, a faint smile creeping on his face. Yeah, a casual gathering could break the ice. But we still need something special to get them there. Amelia's eyes sparkled as she brainstormed. What if we offer pizza? Everyone loves free food. The conversation shifted gears, fueled by excitement. They rallied around the concept and soon had a plan: a launch event at the skate park with free pizza, games, and an open mic for anyone who wanted to share their own story. As the day approached, the nerves returned, winding through Luis like a tight wire. What if no one showed? On the day of the event, they arrived early, spreading banners with their logos and setting up tables laden with pepperoni and veggie slices. The laughter and chatter from the regulars at the park filled the air. As the sun peeked through the trees, shining down on their makeshift stage, Luis hoped they could capture some of that fun. Here they come. Amelia nudged him, pointing toward a group approaching from the entrance. Luis's heart raced as they drew closer. Hey! What is going on here? One of the kids asked, his eyes scanning the food. We're starting a mentorship program and wanted to invite you to hang out. Free pizza if you help us spread the word. Antonio replied, enthusiasm spilling out. The kids exchanged glances, the skepticism in their eyes softening. As they roamed the park, Luis caught sight of a kid sitting alone, casually sipping a soda. He had a distinct air of detachment, glancing around but seemingly uninterested. Something about him tugged at Luis's heart. Gathering his courage, Luis walked over. Hey, I'm Luis. Want to join us? We're doing some cool stuff over there. The kid shrugged, shifting his gaze back to his phone. Nah, I'm good. Luis hesitated before asking, what's your name? Jaden, he mumbled, still not looking up. Jaden, if you don't mind me asking, what do you care about? What inspires you? A moment of silence hung between them. This wasn't the question he had planned, but it felt right. At first, Jaden remained silent. But then, he looked up, a flicker of surprise in his eyes. I like music. I used to play guitar. Luis felt his heart lift. That's awesome. Do you want to show us something? We have an open mic. Jaden shifted uncomfortably, but curiosity crept into his voice. You really mean it? This connection could change everything, Luis thought, feeling a spark of hope ignite. He nodded vigorously. Yeah. We'd love to hear you play. Luis returned to his friends, excitement bubbling in his chest. I think I just met someone who might get involved. As the event continued, laughter and chatter filled the air. They watched as Jaden and a few other students slowly ventured into the tent, mixing and mingling. Perhaps they had finally pierced through that indifference. But just as he felt encouraged, the flickering lights of hope began to dim again. Would it be enough? And if Jaden joined them, would that lead to more connections or just another fleeting moment? Luis felt the weight of unanswered questions as he scanned the park, wondering if they were really ready for the fire they had ignited. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in vibrant streaks of purple and orange, Luis could hardly contain the swell of hope brimming in his chest. Laughter and music resonated in the air, a symphony of joy woven together by the connections being forged at the park. Jaden, once distant and detached, picked up his guitar, his fingers trembling with anticipation. As he began to strum a melody, a hush fell over the gathering. It was as if the entire universe paused just for him. Luis watched, captivated. Each note resonated with raw emotion, weaving a story that transcended the barriers they all faced. Jaden's voice broke through, carrying memories of dreams and hopes, of heartaches and triumphs. Encouraged by the positive energy, more kids gathered around, clapping and cheering him on. The detachment that marked Jaden had melted away, revealing the passion beneath. Suddenly, the realization hit Luis like a bolt of lightning. This was what it meant to connect. This was the bridge they had all been searching for. He felt a rush of pride as he looked around. Their small gathering was morphing into something bigger. It was no longer just about mentoring, it was about community, support, and understanding. "Hey!" Luis called out, raising his hands to get everyone's attention. "This is what we're here for. We all have stories inside us. Jaden showed us that we can share our dreams, just like he did. Let us make our mark together." Emilia and Antonio joined him, rallying the crowd, each encouraging their friends to share their aspirations and talents. As one by one, faces lit up with enthusiasm, genuine connections blossomed. They shared songs, art, and experiences, laughter resonating like music in the soft evening air. The barriers began to dissolve, piece by piece, until walled-off dreams collided into reality. With each passing moment, Luis could feel a shift not just in those gathered around him but inside himself as well. He felt lighter. Nerves transformed into exhilaration, anxiety faded into determination. This was his moment of clarity. He wasn't just a janitor, he was a catalyst for change, a beacon of hope illuminating the way forward. As the music melded with laughter, he turned to Jaden. "You know, the moment you stepped up there, you sparked something. You connected with everyone." "Yeah, but I couldn't have done it without your encouragement," Jaden replied, a genuine smile breaking across his face. "It feels good to share." Luis nodded, excitement racing through him. "And you're not alone. We can keep this going. We can build a program that not only teaches but inspires. We can create a space where kids like us don't feel forgotten." With newfound purpose, they began to formulate plans, brainstorming everything from regular meetups to performance nights, a sanctuary where every voice would matter. All those dreams tucked away, waiting for a chance to flourish, could be nurtured here. The evening continued, each moment grounded in connection. As darkness whispered around them, soft twinkling lights flickered to life, mirroring the spark ignited in the hearts of those gathered. The sense of community wrapped them like a warm embrace, binding them together in a powerful tapestry of aspiration. But just as they shared plans to expand their gatherings, a sense of urgency gripped Luis. Would they stay committed? Would the excitement fade once the night ended? He sensed the importance of solidifying this community before it dissolved back into ordinary lives. As they sat together under the stars, he took a deep breath. "All right, let us finalize our first official program. I know it will be challenging. I know we'll face obstacles. But together, we can turn this vision into something real." The group buzzed with agreement, excitement spilling over. The unknown ahead loomed large but felt less daunting together. In that moment, Luis realized this wasn't just about being seen anymore. This was about lifting others, building dreams, and standing shoulder to shoulder against adversity. As the gathering started to wind down, with promises to meet again circulating among friends, Luis felt a gentle tap on his shoulder. It was Mr. Sanchez, standing at the edge of the gathering, his stern demeanor softened. "You've done something remarkable here," he said, his eyes glimmering with newfound respect. "I see now what potential you bring, not only to these kids but to this community. This is only the beginning." A surge of pride coursed through Luis, igniting those buried insecurities. They had turned a challenging encounter into something that could help change lives. In that moment, he felt boundless. As the night deepened, and laughter echoed against the cool breeze, Luis embraced the transformational journey he had embarked upon. The shadows of self-doubt faded, replaced with a sense of belonging and purpose. Together, they could redefine dreams, help others thrive, and illuminate the paths for those who felt invisible. With a final goodbye exchanged and excitement for the next gathering held firmly in their hearts, Luis walked home under the starry sky, filled with hope and promise. His heart raced, knowing this was just the beginning of something amazing. So many others were waiting, just like he once had. That was the real goal. And he would fight for it now. Dear friends, this is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you won't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Together, we can spread hope and dreams.